Welcome to Chandwell. My name's Michael and I've been adding the roof to the back of a Victorian office building at the bottom of my commercial street. This one was a bit of a challenge. The building is stepped up the hill in 4 parts. So there was not one roof, but 4, and they are all hipped with differently angled faces. The building is parallel to the tracks rather than the backscene, which means it is shallower on one end than at the other. There is a hipped glass lantern roof, 2 large chimneys project into the roof space, and this side of the building includes an oddly shaped forced perspective element. Let's take a look at how I approached all of this in Making Life Difficult, Roofing Challenges. The basic process is the same for each section of roof. I printed a net onto sticky label and stuck it to 0.5mm card. I just had to cut out a notch for the chimney, so when folded into place, it fits snugly. I covered the whole thing with strips of Scale Scene's slate roof tiles texture, glued it into place, and with the addition of ridging tiles, I think it looks promising. I made the 4-part building as one single frontage. I didn't leave any flaps of texture to wrap around the chimneys or the side walls, so I had to take the hard option and add these all separately. I added individual bits of 2mm thick walls for structure. I coloured the white edge of a patch of texture with grey watercolour pencil. After accurately cutting it with my scalpel, I can then drop this on and hopefully you will never spot the join. This doesn't look too bad. Maybe smooth it down a bit and colour in this exposed edge. I used the same approach for the sides of the chimneys. That looks about right. I may add a capping to the parapet, but for now, a coat of stone-coloured paint will do. So how did I make the hipped roofs, which are deeper on one side than the other? It's surprisingly simple. Measure the width, and measure the depth at either end. Draw this into a simple shape in Inkscape. Draw a line down the middle to work out the depth in the centre of the shape. Draw the elevation of the roof front to the measured width. Draw the elevation of one of the sides, but to the width of the depth in the centre of the wall. Measure the diagonal of the side elevation. Make the height of the front triangle the same as the length you just measured. Measure the diagonal of the front elevation before you stretched it. Make the height of the side triangles the same as the length you just measured. Drag the bottom corner of the left side to the measured depth of the left side. Drag the bottom corner of the right side to the measured depth of the right side. Put the rotation handle in the bottom corner, drag till it meets the top. Put the rotation handle in the bottom corner, drag till it meets the top. Print and stick to card. Score the fold lines, cut the shape out. Fold, cover in strips of tiles, glue it in place, add ridging tiles. I really didn't know what to do with this odd shape on top of the forced perspective part that I made in the last video. I stood a bit of card in place along the wall and just roughly sketched where I thought the roof should be. I fettled the card away until I had something that sat in roughly an OK position. I glued it into position and repeated for the other wall. It was hard to guess what it would look like, so I just started tiling it. I made the strips just follow the walls, and I finished with a bit of edging. Up close, this looks a bit strange. It really shouldn't work. But you know what? I think it looks okay. You don't really notice it. It seems to blend in with the rest of the building perfectly. And it looks okay from down here too. I'm taking this as a success. I used the sticky label method for the lantern roof. Here's my first attempt. I tried to make it as one part, crisscross the pattern stuck to acetate, and then pull out the holes to leave the frames with glazing in place. In the end, the single piece didn't work and I tried again with individual pieces. It dawned on me that with the light coming in through the roof, the rooms under it could have interior detailing, so I had to get rid of these bits of support. Surgery time. That's better. I added a surround of tiles and printed a kit of parts onto sticky label that should fill the resulting hole. I used a thick acetate from a perfume box. I held the resulting parts loosely together in a scale model scenery right-angled jig, and then added a couple of drops of superglue using the pointed end of a cocktail stick. This is surprisingly sturdy. I added the hipped roof edges next. and then the front triangle, rubbed the edges of the super glue, and just dropped it into place. It was a tight fit and surprisingly sturdy. I made a mistake when making the hipped edges. I forgot to account for the shape being wider on one side. So instead of redoing the whole thing, I just filled in the resulting gap with a bit of white paint. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. I'm intrigued as to whether it will illuminate the room underneath. Join me next week and we'll find out together. I finished the whole thing off with a couple more chimneys, glued together a stack of card and wrap with texture, before dropping into place. This building is really starting to feel solid now. I'm moving on to adding the external and internal details and getting it embedded on the layout. If you're interested in the sticky label method for making windows, here's a video about that. And here's one about my no maths technique for making hipped roofs. If you'd like to see behind the scenes progress updates, please consider joining my channel as a member. You can use this button here. Until next time then, thank you for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.